Rock Hudson, born Roy Harold Scherer Jr., on November 17, 1925, in Winnetka, Illinois, rose from modest beginnings to become one of the most recognizable leading men in Hollywood history. His childhood was shaped by instability after his father left during the Great Depression, leaving his mother to remarry and change his surname. After serving in the U.S. Navy during World War II, Hudson arrived in Los Angeles with little training but enormous determination. His transformation into Rock Hudson, under the guidance of Agent Henry Wilson, was deliberate and demanding, involving speech coaching, image refinement, and relentless discipline. By the early 1950s, Hudson's towering presence and calm masculinity made him a studio favorite. Films like Magnificent Obsession, All That Heaven Allows, and Giant cemented his reputation. Yet behind the confident image was a man navigating personal truth in a time that allowed no openness. Stardom and the cost of secrecy. During the height of Rock Hudson's fame, Hollywood functioned under strict moral expectations that left little room for authenticity. Sexual orientation, especially anything outside heterosexual norms, was treated as a career-ending liability. For Hudson, whose image was built on romantic idealism and masculine certainty, privacy was not optional, it was survival. Studio executives, publicists, and agents worked collectively to preserve carefully crafted narratives, and Hudson became one of the most visible examples of that system. Those close to him later recalled that secrecy was exhausting, not because of shame, but because of constant vigilance. He lived with the awareness that a single rumor could dismantle everything he had built. While audiences adored his on-screen romances, his private life existed in quiet compartments, shared only with a trusted inner circle. This dual existence defined much of his emotional world and shaped every relationship he formed. Hollywood's quiet network of protection. Despite the rigid public standards of the era, many within Hollywood privately understood Rock Hudson's reality and chose compassion over exposure. Friends and colleagues such as Elizabeth Taylor, Doris Day, Audrey Hepburn, and others were widely believed to be aware of his personal truth, yet none betrayed his confidence. This unspoken protection reflected both genuine affection and recognition of the industry's cruelty. The threat posed by scandal publications like Confidential magazine in the 1950s heightened the danger, prompting desperate measures to divert attention. Hudson's brief marriage to Phyllis Gates emerged from this climate, designed to reinforce the illusion of conformity. Though the marriage ended quietly, the emotional toll lingered. Hudson paid a personal price to maintain his career, sacrificing openness for security. In that environment, intimacy could only exist in fragments, carefully shielded from public scrutiny and constantly weighed against professional survival. George Nader and a lasting bond. Among the most significant relationships in Rock Hudson's private life was his long and deeply meaningful bond with actor George Nader. Unlike fleeting rumors, this connection endured for decades and was rooted in trust and loyalty. Nader, himself an actor under contract with Universal, was widely regarded as Hudson's closest companion. According to biographers and friends, the two shared homes, traveled together, and relied on each other emotionally during critical periods. When Hudson later faced declining health, Nader became executor of his estate, a role that reflected profound mutual respect. Nader reportedly placed Hudson's well-being above his own career at key moments, underscoring the depth of their bond. While neither man publicly defined the relationship during their lifetimes, its significance is well documented. It stood as a rare example of continuity and devotion in a life otherwise shaped by concealment and careful distance. Anthony Perkins and shared understanding speculation has long surrounded a possible connection between Rock Hudson and Anthony Perkins, another leading man navigating the same restrictive era. Perkins, remembered for Psycho, lived much of his life privately, guarded by similar pressures and expectations. While no direct confirmation exists of a romantic relationship between the two, biographers have noted overlapping social circles and shared experiences that suggest at least a meaningful familiarity. Both men understood the costs of visibility and the need for discretion. Any connection, if it occurred, would, have been brief and deeply private, shaped more by mutual recognition than public display. What matters most is not certainty, but context. Hudson and Perkins belong to a generation of actors forced into silence, finding understanding in glances rather than declarations. Their stories reflect the quiet solidarity that existed among men living parallel lives behind Hollywood's carefully constructed illusions. Tab Hunter and parallel lives. Rock Hudson and Tab Hunter occupied remarkably similar positions in 1950s Hollywood. Both were marketed as clean-cut, all-American heartthrobs, adored by fans and tightly controlled by studio systems. While Hunter later wrote openly about his sexuality and relationships, no definitive evidence confirms a romantic connection between him and Hudson. However, their shared circumstances fostered an unspoken kinship. They faced identical pressures, the same fear of exposure, and the same expectation to perform heterosexual perfection. Industry gossip has occasionally suggested a brief connection, but these accounts remain unverified and should be viewed cautiously. What is certain is that Hudson and Hunter understood one another's burdens instinctively. Their parallel paths illustrate how studios shaped not just careers, but identities. Even without confirmed intimacy, the emotional resonance between men living under identical constraints forms a meaningful part of Hudson's private narrative. Jim Nabors and the Power of Myth. One of the most persistent legends linking Rock Hudson to another actor involves Jim Nabors, best known for his role as Gomer Pyle. Over time, rumors exaggerated a friendship into mythology, including claims of a symbolic ceremony that never occurred. Nabors consistently denied any romantic involvement, and no credible evidence supports such assertions. The endurance of the story speaks less about truth and more about the era's appetite for speculation surrounding closeted stars. For Nabors, the rumor caused discomfort and professional strain, highlighting how gossip could harm even without basis. Hudson himself rarely addressed such stories, maintaining silence as protection. This chapter serves as a reminder of how secrecy invited invention. In Hollywood's golden age, absence of truth often gave rise to fiction. The Nabors rumor endures not because of fact, but because it reflects the cruel curiosity surrounding private lives forced into shadows. Mark Christian and the final chapter. In the final years of Rock Hudson's life, his relationship with Mark Christian became public through legal proceedings following Hudson's death. The situation unfolded during the early AIDS crisis, a period marked by fear, misinformation, and stigma. Christian described Hudson as generous, private, and emotionally conflicted, while legal disputes focused on issues of responsibility and disclosure. The case attracted widespread attention, not for scandal, but because it exposed how little society understood about the disease at the time. Importantly, the situation should be viewed through the lens of an era when medical knowledge was limited and conversations around illness were fraught with shame. Hudson's health struggle reflected broader systemic failures rather than individual malice. This final relationship, though complicated, underscores the vulnerability Hudson faced near the end of his life and the emotional isolation that often accompanies secrecy and illness. The courage to change the conversation. Rock Hudson's public acknowledgement of his AIDS diagnosis shortly before his death in 1985 marked a turning point in public awareness. As one of the first major celebrities to speak openly about the disease, he shattered stereotypes and forced compassion into mainstream conversation. His announcement humanized a crisis that had been ignored, prompting increased funding and empathy worldwide. Hudson passed away quietly on October 2, 1985, at age 59, choosing privacy even in death. Yet his impact extended far beyond cinema. The man once celebrated as Hollywood's ultimate symbol of masculinity became a catalyst for understanding and change. His life, marked by restraint and endurance, revealed the human cost of enforced secrecy. Today, Hudson is remembered not only for his films, but for the courage it took to live honestly when the world would not allow it.